going to carry through to all your applications you build in Fabrik. It is a WYSIWYG. So sometimes I present at PHP conferences, and I can always tell when I've got the hardcore PHP guys that just do everything by hand that they're like, oh, as soon as I say WYSIWYG. But we all know, especially if you're an integrator, WYSIWYG is important out there. And it means that it allows, when the developer thinks about it, they're like, oh, wait, that means somebody else can kind of do all of the setup work, and then I can come in and do the heavy lifting that I'm really good at. And so developers usually embrace working on a Fabrik project once they get in there, because they're like, oh, then you do all of that stuff, because I don't like to do all that look and feel stuff, or whatever. And so they can parse it out very easily with Fabrik. These are actually some live example, or not live, hello, these are visual examples down there of some of the cool displays and forms that people have done with Fabrik. So why Fabrik? Well, first of all, if you can do something in native Joomla, I always tell people to do it there first, obviously. Because if you can do it with one thing, even better. And then if you can't do it with Joomla, is there a component out there that does exactly what you want? Like, I want just a download manager. Well, there's some really good download managers out there. And so if it does everything that your client wants or you want, then use the extension that will work exactly for what you want. But if you have to look at that extension and go, well, I'll have to change this and I'll have to change this, and when you start looking at it, and if you're really going to have to customize that extension, now you're like breaking that chain of updates, and so it may not be the best solution. Or you just want to pull back, you just want to display data out of your database, and this is a very easy way to do that. Or you need ACL, which, most components do support ACL, but not all do. So then why would we do that? So basically we've went through our checklist. Well, Joomla won't do it. I don't have an extension that'll do it exactly, but I still need to do all these things. So probably I have to write a custom component. Now, if you're a component builder or you're just a coder, this may not be a problem for you. You say, well, I can build components, so you build a component. But then every time Joomla updates, you're going to have to update your custom component. Or if you're like me, I hired people to do custom components, and so then every time that it would come out, I would have to contact the developer again and be like, okay, now we've got to update. And so it became a pretty tedious and expensive venture with custom components for my clients. So I started looking for other alternatives, which is how I found Fabrik. And so I need basically a custom component, but I don't want to hand code it from scratch. I don't want to have to continuously update the core of my component that's custom. And I would like to have something that's just like what I love, which is Joomla, which is an open source project that's being used by tons of people. So it's continuously evolving, being debugged, being patched. And so I want something else like that. And that's what Fabrik is. It is open source, just like Joomla is. And so we have a community around the world of people who are constantly using it, constantly posting if there's problems, constantly giving us fixes in GitHub. And so it is a well-supported platform for you to build with. So you want to save time and money, because that's something you're not going to have to do. So before I start looking at like the pieces of Fabrik, I like to show people some examples of some things that have been done. So I'm going to quickly show you, I'll find all my, here we go. All right, so like I said, it's very international, and I will tell you when we did not design the website, just so you know. This was not one that was designed by me, because this doesn't look like what I would design, but that's okay. It's still using, so this is a company that buys and sells eye doctor clinics, is what they do. And so they built their whole thing with Fabrik. And so you can see this is a list of the ones that are up for sale. So you can be a buyer or you can be a seller on here. But the whole structure that they built with Fabrik. I can't show you their backends, obviously, but they have a management side to it too, for their internal people to manage these things being published and approved and things like that. This one is in the Caribbean, and this guy's used it for a lot of different projects, but this one in particular is a placement agency. And so you can see they're really capitalizing on the ability to filter and search with Fabrik. And so all of this is going to be searchable. It's going to throw back your lists, your details pages. They have a online login where people can go and do their postings as well and manage them. They can charge for it because we can build in e-commerce plugins in there. We have several, but if you need a custom one, that can be done too. So this one is using Fabrik. This is a voice link. Again, now I didn't do that one. I didn't do this one. This is a voice link. So this is where voice talent can go and be listed. You can go and find one of them and employ them. And so we do. I could tell it was Fabrik whenever I went here because this is our little plug-in to. I don't have audio here, but it's the plug-in so that you can actually have multimedia directly showing in your list. This guy did some really cool scrolling templates with his list displays on the front page. This is the police department in India. This is a crime website where they list live crimes. And so it's pulling in data live and displaying it on here of all the crimes going on. It's actually kind of unsettling to see because there's there's dead bodies and all kinds of things. So we'll just close that one now. But I wanted you to see, because he did some really cool things with scrolling menu items and stuff like that. I mean, it's not menus, I'm sorry, scrolling modules of the list views. And so it's really nice. These people, this is a transportation tracking. And I don't remember exactly what they did, and I'm sorry, it's in another language here. Let me translate that really quickly so we can see. Oh yeah, so this is where you can schedule carpools. That's what it was. So you can book with carpooling. And I don't remember where that was, but. And this is an attendance tracking. So it was geared to sports teams, kids sports teams, so you can track the attendance on there. Now, I'm also going to just show you this, which is our forum, because if you go down in our forum, down at the bottom, there is a showcase, and so that's where people list ones. So if you're looking at some other things that people did, you can go look yourself there and see more things. Oh, and this was another one, a live, if you run chess tournaments, you can sign up for this and display your results live, and it's all built off of a Fabrik platform there. This is one that I actually did for a client, and this Eskimo hut, they are a little kind of like a gas station, but they sell frozen daiquiris, so you can just, drive on up and grab your frozen daiquiri and head on out on the road. It's kind of, no, I know, it doesn't sound right. At least in Texas, we make them put it in a little baggie and seal it so that you don't drink it. But they give you a straw that you can pierce through the plastic. In Louisiana, they don't even have to bother with the plastic. They can just give you the cup and the straw and let you go. You can do drive-through there. Anyway, so this one is, this is a map view. I probably can, last time I pulled it up, I don't know where I was. Anyway, the map does sense where you are. It tries to give you the ones closest to you, or you can go down here and you can find, oh, okay, I'm in Houston, and so which one do I want to go to? And when I go to it, now it's going to give me more description on it. I should have picked the other one that had more description. Links to their social media, because each one of their locations handles their own social media and things like that. So this is kind of just really as a directory, right? But it also, we use the geolocate, so people on the front page, they can say, this is where I am and where's the closest Eskimo hut, and it'll tell them so they can get right over and get their daiquiri. This is an international website, actually, where these are trainers that train rhythmic movement training and consultants and classes. And so we made it so that we could, find a class, find an instructor, or find a consultant. All of this is based on Fabrik, as well as we have a total private side that you can't see that are for those consultants and those teachers, where they can log in, download the materials that they need. They can list their own classes, because we don't have time to list all their classes. They can list all their own classes. So let's just see, what's going on in Canada. Are there any classes here? There you go. So you can go from the Joomla conference to one of these trainings. So it's all built, though, so the front end is displaying what these people are putting in the back. We do have a management layer in there, too. So when the staff logs in, they can approve or disapprove classes, change them, edit them. They need to, whenever an instructor moves on up and can teach new classes, they go and advance them to that. Now when the instructor logs in, they will be able to post those type of classes as well. So there's a lot of ACL that goes on inside of this application in particular. Our next phase we're working on right now is a student dashboard. So next will be the student layer. So students will be able to register for these classes on here and then maintain their all their history, as well as printable PDF certifications and things like that that will be available on the student dashboard. This is a oil company. These are their employment. So this is their careers page. We do their job listings with Fabrik, and then we also have a staff dashboard there that has multi-layers. So there's the administrator of it that can do just about everything. Then each department head has their own login where they can only see their department applicants and such. Whenever the status changes on an applicant, it changes from, you know, interviewed, hired, you know, not hired. So it has tracking in the back end for them as well. And then we've done a couple of different portal sites for, and this one I can actually log in with a demo and show you guys. So we've done several different portal sites for schools. I'm going to act like I'm the demo parent here. This one in particular is a school for autistic children. So it actually has some little bit of different nuances to it than just a standard private school that we did. But so this would be my parent portal. I log in, I'm a parent, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, maybe this was a single parent before, and now she's gotten married, and so there's a dad involved, or wife, whatever. So we've got, we can put in our new parent, save the parent, and then it would update our dashboard to have that parent. We can add our students. We can do our release forms, and they do have digital signatures in here, so when they fill out that release and they sign it, it generates a PDF, goes to the parent, they get a copy, goes to the school, they get a copy. Both of them can log into their dashboard if they lost their copy, and they can just download it. And so this is going to download my PDF. And they can do their enrollment agreements, which, you know, yes, I'm signing up, and yes, I will pay my bill, basically. Here's a PDF, and we can do custom PDF layouts with our digital signature, so they'll get this with a digital signature, which is legal in the state of Texas anyway. Digital signature is legal. I think it's going to be pretty much worldwide. All right, so those are some examples. So basically, if you can kind of come up with an idea of what you need to do, you could probably build it with Fabrik. Now let's get back to our slides here. There we go. Because now I want to just kind of give you that overview of Fabrik. And we're doing pretty good. Okay, so what do you need? Well, you need Joomla and Fabrik at a minimum. That's it. That's pretty much it. You can add in your other things too. I mean, can't imagine a Joomla site without a key, but you know, you could do it. And so Fabrik is made up of different parts. Your home dashboard is just literally, it's just a dashboard. There's like, you know, some news there, but it's just a dashboard. Your global options. Global options, there's a few things you can set at a global level for Fabrik. One of the main reasons I like to bring up global options, though, is that's where you turn on debugging. And we have two levels of debugging and PDF debugging. Because when you're working on a PDF template, nothing more frustrating than to just get a blank and you're like, well, what's going on? So we have a PDF debug where it'll put it in the browser so you can actually see what it's generating, debug it, and then flip back over and see if it renders your PDF. Connections, which is what we're going to talk about in here in more detail, which is this allows us to connect to the database. It automatically, when you install Fabrik, creates your database connection to your Joomla website's database. But you can do others. Packages is something that it didn't work quite right, so we have actually taken it down on this version, and we're rebuilding it, and we will release it in a future version. Packaging is so that when you build this cool Fabrik app, you would be able to package it and move it to a different website. There are ways around that. We have content types, so you can actually kind of move things. It's a little more manual, though. Scheduling. Scheduling is basically cron jobs, which you really do need some cron jobs, especially whenever you're doing what we're going to talk about in here, which is connecting to other databases. There may be need to run a cron job to do certain things, updates. And then visualizations, which are really kind of cool, like the map I showed you. And I should have showed you, I had another site where we did a calendar visualization. So there are lots of different visualizations. So in other words, I just want to see this data in this way, or I want to see the same data in this way. And then, of course, There's menu items, just like any other component. These are the type of menu items that we do give you, which is I want to link directly to a record, a details page. I want to link to the form so I can input a new record. I would like to show a whole list of all the records that are in there, or maybe filter it. And then package, which goes away, right? And then visualization. So I want to link to that calendar. I want to link to the map. And then CSV, because I tell you what, when you get to really building ads for companies, those admins, they're like, I need a CSV export. Is there a CSV export? Can I export this to CSV? Yes. Can I export it to PDF? Yes. Yes. Yes, you can. And then, so we even made a menu so they don't even have to go all the way in. They can just click that menu and get their PDF, and they're so happy. It's those little things in life, right? It is so funny. You can build a very, very complex thing, and then you put in this one little thing, this little piece, and it was easy to put in, but it just alleviated pain for your client, and they're so happy. I love that. All right, so our list in here. Lists are basically, that is your connection to a table. Think of it that way. Now we can join, and we can join to multiple tables, but it is your connection to a table. The form. Well, if we want to put something into that table that we created, or the list, the list that is a join, then we need to have a form to input into it. And so we can build the form if we've created a new table, we can build our form with new elements. We can also put in groups. And groups are kind of that thing that when you first get into Fabrik, I find that people are confused and they're like, I don't know when to use the groups. I don't understand what's going on with the group. So I like to tell people, first way to start thinking about it is just thinking of the sections on a form. When you want to break up sections on a form, a new group is you need to start a new group of elements. And then the other thing is with your groups, it's good for show and hide. So like when you have that little thing where you're like, are you going to pay by credit card or are you going to pay by check? If they pick credit card, I want to show this group of elements. If they're going to pay by check, I want to show this group of elements. So I have different options accordingly. And so groups allow me to do that JavaScript control. Elements, that gets down to the bare bones. Those are the fields on your form, basically, okay? So I've got this form, I'm going to input things. I have an element for each thing I'm going to input. And we have lots of different types. This drop-down that you see there, that is the default element types that come in with a, if you just go install Fabrik through the install by web, those are the ones you're going to get. But you can always visit fabrikar.com and go to our download section and search. There's tons of plugins that we have there, and a lot of them are different element types. Like one of my favorites is Calc, because it allows you to do all kinds of cool custom PHP that's like listening to other fields, so it's really cool, as well as cascading drop-downs, because we have a database join, but you can also do a cascading database join, so then it's watching one above it. Connections, which is really what I was here to talk about today anyway, which are connecting to other databases. Like I told you before, by default, Fabrik, when you install it, is going to make that connection to your Joomla database. So that's already there. But you can always go in to the connections and you can add new databases. So you can see there I've got a test one that I've connected to another database in here. It does need to be a MySQL database right now. And I had someone who was asking me about that. Can we connect to PostgreSQL? What is it? Yes. Anyway. And we've had some people who have asked about connecting to Access. So we have had some other requests, and so we can, but we're working on some different things about that. What I usually do with a client who has an Access database, if they're doing stuff internal and then they're like, well, I want this to be in there, is there are some good conversion tools for just converting their Access over to MySQL, then we can connect to that data. So. I do like to point out though, so we use in Fabrik, we are actually using JDatabase. We're very much about using the core Joomla tools if they're there, the libraries. So we're using their JDatabase. So we don't care if you've done it with MySQLi or PDO in Joomla. We just use whatever you've set up in there. And just so you know, we're also that means we're using the MySQL blocking and transaction rules. So let's just say, for instance, we've got a client portal here, and they've got a CRM in there, but then we have an out-facing site and we want to show customer countries, like how many countries. So we just want to tap over into their database and show that information. But we could actually, if we're tapping into like their countries table, then if we found something we wanted to correct, we could correct it from there. We wouldn't have an overwrite. In other words, if we're going to both be writing to the same MySQL, whether it's something else and us, we won't overwrite them. The normal MySQL transaction rules apply. So when we're going to create a new connection, it's like really easy. I mean, it's so simple. You have to have the login. That's it. So you need to have, well, you can name it something. That's our label, so that you recognize which database you're connecting to. Then you're just going to need to know the host, and then the login information. Login, database name, username, and password. I do like to point out to people, because a lot of people are like, I tried it and it's not working for me. It's not showing up in the drop down when I want to switch. It's because we automatically start with unpublished on this. You need to make it live, okay? So I've put up a little example scenario that I'm going to show you. I've pre-built it because I didn't think I'd have time to do all this in here. Good thing I did. But then I have the third site I actually have not connected yet. So we're going to connect it in here so you can actually see a live connection happen. My main site is my Joomla site #1, right? So this is my main site. And I said, you know what, I'm going to just show some job listings. I went simple. Some job listings I'm going to show on here. And then I'm going to give it a login so that they can log in and they can add new jobs, they can edit these things. And when that administrator logs in, they also need to have a report on all the live products that are out in their WordPress site, for whatever reason. And so I've connected WordPress with a WooCommerce. I've connected my Joomla over to their MySQL database so I can spit back and show them all the active products. And then on our Joomla site too, I just want to show the same jobs that we have available in our main site. I need to display them over here. Maybe that's our internal portal, and we want to show the employees whether their jobs are available without them having to go out to the public side and go look for the careers page. Then inside of our portal, they can just see what are the open careers. And then on the Joomla site 3, we're going to pretend like I did countries on these jobs. So we'll pretend like the Joomla site 3 is just like the Canadian site or something. And we'll filter then. And so we're going to connect, we're going to grab the jobs, but we're only going to show the Canadian jobs on that side. So now we're going to look at some things, and we're going to do some things. But just to review what we're doing, we're making a connection to another database. Then we need to at least make one list so that we grab something off of that database, right? Then we need to make a menu item that we're going to point to so we can see what we've connected to here. And then we're going to do a little bit of configuration, like I was talking about. Let's filter something. Let's make something searchable. So let me just show you what I've got going on here. Let's make this bigger. There we go. By the way, the display is really good because a lot of times I have so much on my screen, as you can see, it makes it difficult. So kudos to the JWC guys and girls. All right, so I have a WordPress site where I put WooCommerce in there. And if I look here, you can see I actually have some products in here. How do you like that? You're at a Joomla conference and I pulled up WordPress first. I'm not getting my star. Oh, no, I think it's a good thing because I think we should all work. Everything, it's open source as well. We all need to work together, by the way. And sometimes WordPress is the right tool for someone. I don't know if y'all have used WooCommerce, but I actually did a project with a client this year, and it actually turned out very beautiful and very elegant for what they needed to do. But they also have a Joomla site too, so it was okay. So I've got some products in here that I made up, just some BS products. I did put some categories in here too. I don't know if we'll get time to actually show connecting to find the categories because it's a little more complex in their database structure. So what we have here is our Fabrik 1 site. Here it is. And you'll recognize lovely protostar, right? So we've got pretty much as basic as you can get. But this is public. I'm not logged in yet to it. So I can look here and I can see, oh, look, here's some jobs. So I've got some jobs. I did turn on sorting, so I can sort by my location. I can see, well, here's some jobs in Houston. Here's some in London. Here's some in New York. Oh, there's one, a Joomla junkie right here in Vancouver. So yeah, we've got jobs. This is pretty much basic out-of-the-box Fabrik. Like I said, I turned on jobs so we could filter that job location. Otherwise, this is pretty much out-of-the-box. Even I turned off some things because you get some more grouping and things like that I turned off because I wanted this to be front-end, really basic, just to show it. And you can see right here, I've connected over and I've grabbed those products. And so here's my products, right? Uber cool custom product, blah, blah, blah. It's terrible, but buy me anyway. So if I head back over here and I go, yeah, I've got a new product that just came out. And this one is my, you know, Vancouver super box. We don't know what this is. And we'll just put some stuff down here. It doesn't really matter. We're not pulling over the descriptions yet. And so I go, yeah, this looks good. This is going to be a Canadian product, obviously. We'll publish that. Now, if I go back over here to my Joomla site and I refresh, you can see there's my Vancouver super box. So I'm actually showing this, displaying this over in my Joomla site. A lot of times, like I said, if you're just going to be displaying these things, it's probably going to be behind the firewall. It's going to, I mean, behind the login, so that it becomes more of a heartbeat dashboard for someone who's managing multiple things, right? So if I log in, though, and I look at these careers, let's go back to our careers, this page, which is just displaying it. But now that I'm logged in, I'm a super user. You see I have a lot more options here. As well as I put it so that we can manage our locations here. So if I want to add a new location, I can add a new location. I can go here to my job listings and I can add a new job listing, right? Now let's look at site number 2, Joomla site number 2, right? So this is Joomla site, oops, let me scroll up. Now this one, I put a different template in there. I threw Helium. This is Helium, which I'm a big fan of Gantry, so I just threw that in there for you guys. And this is another site where they just want to have this like long listing of our jobs. So they've got a listing, but they like it's grouped on here. So it's grouped by city on this site. So all I did was on Joomla site number 2, I created a connection back to my Joomla site number 1 database. I created a list for my job listings. I also, in this instance, because I have a different one, I have a locations, I created an, I had to go edit my element button just to link back to the locations table on my other database so that it would still function properly. And I'll show you that when we do the second site. So I had to tweak one element in there. So this one is showing our job listings. Now we have another site here, and this is the one we're going to hopefully work on. And get this one set up. So this is Gantry, but with hydrogen template. The reason I chose 3 different templates is what I wanted you to really kind of see is that it doesn't matter. This is just the data we're pulling in. Your look and feel comes from your template. It comes from all of that. We are just literally getting our data. We're passing our data around here, okay? So let's log in to the site number 3. Hang on. Let's try one more time, and let's log in to site number 3. There we go. Now, I don't even have Fabrik installed in here, because I wanted to show you, we're going to, like, from scratch here, we're going to say, hey, let's go and let's install Fabrik, and we'll even do it from the web, and hopefully it's not too slow. Our install from web's a little slow. Okay.
I have found this, I kind of switch to a different tab, install,
And then come back. Yeah, I've done that too, actually. Yeah. Of course, when you're up in front of the room talking, you know, you don't think of all the things you normally do when you're sitting there in your pajamas working.
Well, you can go change if you want.
Okay. I think maybe I should start speaking in my pajamas. I could get like a whole pajama set. Yeah. No. All right, so let's search for Fabrik, and here it is. So we say, yep, this is the one we want. We're going to install it. Let's install from web. This is Fabrik 3.5.1. Actually, 3.5.2 will probably be coming out in a week or 2 here. We've had a lot of patches that we've done. You can at any time, though, go and grab our updates from GitHub. So you can get fresh to the minute anytime you want of all of our fixes. You'll have to do a manual update then, though. It's not difficult. So now, here we are. We have a Fabrik installed. The dashboard that I told you about that really doesn't have very much on it, you know, about whatever. Our list that we have, which right now we have none. I'm going to zip on down here to connections because that's what we want to do. We want to connect to a different database. We are connected to our site database right now, but we want to go grab those job listings as well. So we're going to create a new database connection, and we're going to call this one FabSite 1, and the host is localhost because I put these on the same one. But just note, if you're connecting over to a whole different system, you may need a more detailed host name than localhost. It's only going to happen if it is on your localhost and if you've enabled localhost. But anyway, hang on one second. I need to go grab my database password and everything. Everybody close your eyes. Don't look. No. Here's our database. Name, and I made this easy on myself. I made my name of the database and the user the same for our presentation here. And then I've got us a little password here. So we're going to put our password in. Remember what I told you, it comes unpublished by default. So if I hit save here, it's still going to be unpublished. You could still click the publish, but I'm going to do it now. I kind of just do that when I'm setting them up. And then, so I've got it set up in there, but does it work? I don't know. Well, you can check. So we'll test the connection. Oh, here it goes. It says connection was successful. So now I've connected to our other table there, excuse me, our other website. I haven't connected the table yet. I've connected to our other database website. And here we're going to go to Fabrik. And now I'm going to go and create a new list. This one's going to be called job listings because I'm very creative like that. Job listings, which is the exact same name on the other one is what I was getting at. All right. So now, usually when you set up a new Fabrik list, you just put in a name. You do come to the data side if you want to change your table name. But it's going to, by default, be connected to the site's database. But that's not what we want now. So we're actually wanting to do something different. So we need to come here and we need to switch. And you see there's my Fab Site 1. And you see how it refreshed down here using our cascading drop down. And so what it did was it changed my tables. Whoops. It changed my tables in the drop down here to the other site. Because you can see there's demo job listings, demo locations. Where if I go back to this site's database, that's not there. And there's different prefixes, right? Because this is our site database. This is Fab Site 1. So we're going to go there. We're going to connect to our job listings table. And we're going to save and close. We've got one more answer. Oh, no, we don't. Oh, because I already did that. Now, it made a form for us already. It made one group, because it's not going to carry over tons of groups. So it made one group for our elements. And now, look, here are all the elements. So it pulled over it looked at the table on the other side, and it said, there's a column that's titled this, there's a column that's labeled this, column that's labeled this. I need an element for each one of those columns to be able to input in. So it automatically set them up for me. The one exception being the job location would need a little bit of work, because job location, in my original Fabrik site, job location is what we call a database join element. So I have two tables. I have job listings table and I have job locations table. On my job listings form, for the location, I database join to my locations table. So I'm saving the value, the ID value in my job listings, and I'm displaying the label, which is looking at overall my other table, right? So this is a simple join, but it still is a join. And why would you do that? Well, because not everybody might somebody might spell Vancouver differently than somebody else. So we don't want to lock that down, because otherwise it will make searching our data impossible. So anytime that you can keep your data as consistent as possible, do it. Sometimes the job may not have it in the budget, though, to separate everything. But always look at your data first. All right, so enough talk about that. I'm going to make a menu, and I'm going to link to this, but then I'm going to show you why we need to fix the job location. So let's go here, and let's go to our main menu, and let's say we want to make a new menu item. And this is going to be job listings. Oh, not lostings. Job listings. All right. You don't have to name it the same thing, by the way. You can call it careers. You can call it whatever you want. We're going to do a list of them. And job listings are our only list right now, so let's save that one. Now let's look at the front end of our website, and you're going to see something. I'm doing this live. Thank goodness I'm doing it with live demo data, because watch what happens. By default, I could actually add one on here if I wanted to. We need to shut that down with our ACL. We really don't want the public just adding jobs to our job listing board. As well as, look at our job locations. Remember I told you, when you're doing a join, you're saving the ID in one table and referencing the other table. So we're like, oh, well, they don't know where job location 4 is. So we need to fix that in our Fabrik site. So we're just going to go right here, in our Fabrik app, the elements. We're going to go our job location. And again, we're going to utilize that connection to another database. So we need to, first of all, switch this. When we let Fabrik look at a table, analyze it, and create the elements, it's going to do everything basic, okay? It's going to go to the base level element that it needs to. But this was a more complex element. This was a database join. So we're going to do a database join here. And now you'll notice down here, parameters always change down here depending upon the type of element you've selected. Okay, so now I can go down here and say, all right, I need to connect first, which I want to connect to the other database, right? So I want to connect to that database. I need to look at, oops, hang on. I need to look at the locations table. And I'm going to have ID here. And I'm going to show the actual office name, though. Now let's save and close this. Let's look at our job listings here. Now all of a sudden, it's properly showing these. Without me having to recreate something on this site and having duplicate data. We don't want duplicate data. So even at the element level, we're utilizing that connection to another database, okay? To keep all our, because now, let's just say I look in there and I'm like, oh, Project Overlord, that really wasn't what the name of that was. So I'm going to go back to my original site here where I logged in. This is my admin who's logged into the front end because I really don't want her logging into the back end. So I've got her a little login to the front here. She can go, oh, hey, I'm going to go, oops, I was just going to edit one. Let's see, the Vancouver one. It's not really a Joomla junkie. It's a super Joomla junkie that we need there in Vancouver. And so now, again, here's one site, right? I refresh it. There you go. We've changed that. I go to my other Joomla site, and I refresh it, and there we go. Super Joomla Junkie is in there. So one site updating two other sites, right? Now, we don't want to have this ad on here. Maybe we want to do some things. Maybe we want to only show London jobs here. Okay, so maybe we only want to show the London jobs on this site. So we're going to go and we're going to go back to our list. We're going to look at our list here and we're going to set up a pre-filter. So we're going to say, hey, I want to look at the job location, and if it equals, what did I tell you we were in London? If it equals London, did I do that all caps? Because normally I would do this on the ID, but we're kind of doing this fast. Okay, yeah, I just want to match my syntax on there. Whoops, where am I? Problem with having all these. And so I'm going to match that it's equal to London. So now let's go back and refresh our job listing. And you see now I'm only showing London jobs on this one. So, you know, if we were going to do a country-specific site, so we had an international, but then we wanted to do country-specific, or if we have just you know, a US and we want to show it just a Texas or whatever. This gives us the ability. We're still connecting to the master list of data for the company, but then we're parsing it down to what we want to show on this particular website. And I do have, what time do we get to go till? I think we're almost done, aren't we? I can show you some more filtering and stuff, changes here. While somebody's looking and telling us, we'll just go ahead and do those things. 3 minutes. All right, we got. Well, you know what? If we've just got 3 minutes, questions. How about that? Any questions? Yes?
So how many licenses do you need of Fabrik if you're connecting that scenario with 3 Joomlas and WordPress?
0. We don't have licensing. It's open source. You can download it for free. You can have as many of them as you want.
So you need then you need installs on all 3 sites or 4 sites?
Yes, you do have to have it installed on all sites. Yes, that is true. That was the common theme, and maybe I didn't make that clear. Well, that's why I went to the third site. I didn't have Fabrik yet. I had to install it before I could do that. So yes, you do need to install Fabrik on all the sites that you're going to do this on, which means that when you're connecting to things like WordPress or Magenta or any of those things that you're going to connect to that use MySQL database, you can only pull them. You can only do this from the Joomla side, right? You can't do it from the WordPress side or their side. So this is just looking at it. It's just in a Joomla extension. So just to get that clear, we can connect to other types of management systems if they're using MySQL, but we can't reverse that, just so you know. Yeah, but it's open source. We do have support levels. We're going to revamp those support levels, and we're working on a lot more tutorials. So we're hoping to have a really nice tutorial base. We have a very good wiki. So if you look, there's tons and tons of documentation. If you look in our forum, it is super active. I think we have 38,000 users in our forum right now. So I'm telling you, it's quite honestly, I'm in the States, and I think it's used the least in the States of anywhere else in the world. The Europeans use it. I've got 2 clients in the Netherlands right now. I've got a client down in Africa. Africa uses it quite a bit. Australia, I think, maybe our least, but we do have some people down there too. But I mean, it's all over. It's in every country. But it is open source, so there's no licensing. We are hoping to launch some pro plugins. So Fabrik has plugins. Like I told you, you can go search, and there's different plugins. And so you can get different plugins. Right now, they're all free, but we do have some that we're working on that have taken a lot of man hours that we're going to try and do like a pay-for plugin. But we'll be cheap. It'll be just like anything else in the open source market. It's going to be, you know, $20 for this plugin if you need to connect to VeriSign. So there won't be anything that'll break the bank. We want to keep it an open source project. So that's our plan. Yes? Yes, I didn't show you any visualizations, but you can. If you go into our visualizations, and see, I don't have this set up to do it, but let's say I had put in geocodes on all of those offices, then I could have done a map display of our jobs. You can do charts, yes. So by default, you'll see down here, we have calendar view, we have chart view, which is actually kind of old. We have a new Google chart view you can download from our plugins. Full calendar, the Google map, media, so if you want to do, you know, videos, things like that, slideshow, so I can have a table full of images and then I can create slideshows from it with my visualizations. And you can filter all of this. I mean, once you pick one of these things, so like even the slideshow, if I pick that, you're going to see, look at all the options that I'm going to have with my slideshow. And I can create multiple. So I can have one table that has this list of images in it and categories. Now I can go make a visualization that says, I need a slideshow that's this big that shows all of this category. And I need a slideshow that's this big of that same set of images and showing maybe multiple categories or whatever. And so it allows you to have data in one place and visualize it different ways, whether it be just from a simple list or details view all the way to I want a more visual look to it. Yes?
What's the plan for external databases? You know, Microsoft SQL, Oracle, Access. Is there a plan or is it not on the roadmap?
I'm sorry, what's the plan for?
Connecting to external databases, other than not MySQL.
Oh, so yes, we do have, we've had some requests, and so we're looking into it. It's just a matter of building the plugin. And usually the way it works is when we finally have a client that's like, I have to have this done, and so how much will it cost? I give them an estimate, we build it. I usually try to do a little bit of a share in there. In other words, I'll deduct some off of it because then we can put it back into the open source project. So it was a paid for, I call it funded. It's like funding features in it. And so we've had some people that are getting more serious about it because they need to connect to some other weird things, actually. So as those happen, we'll open source them out there. Or if we find there's just that much of a demand, we may do a pro plugin for it and charge $20 or something and hope that we sell enough of them that it covers our design, our time, you know. So we do have in our vision is to have it connect to more databases. So that is something we would like to do.
And right now, do you have any other databases to connect?
Just MySQL, just MySQL.
Nothing on the horizon.
Like I said, I have some people that are getting pretty demanding about access. So it's complicated. It is really complicated because remember we're using core Joomla too, and so there's a lot to it. I don't want to get into all the wigglies of it, but it is in the horizon, and we do hope to do that. By the way, one more thing, because I didn't really point that out. I want to point that out, and I'm going to show you here now that we've got this one set up, or this one, and since I've got it wide open. I connected this to that database on Fabrik 1, right? But this is Fabrik site 3. But as long as I've set it up properly, again, I needed that database join in there. Once I had the database join, cool cat. We need a cool cat here, and we need them right here in Vancouver to help us out now. Well, we don't care what they do. They just need to be cool. And we're going to save that. Now remember, I'm on the other Joomla site, right? But it's added it. Oh, I'm on the Joomla. Why didn't I make them in London? Hang on, let's make one in London too. We need cool cats in every office, actually. So we'll make a cool cat that's going to be in London because this is the London office, and they know what they need. So we can allow them to add their listing. There it is, cool cat. And now we go back and look here. On our main site, there it is. On our second site, there it is. So we can actually edit from different directions too. And so we can have the London office, the Houston office, they can all add their own. But corporate can do all of them, okay? So, I could have limited that, like I did it from London and I added a job in Vancouver, but we probably wouldn't want to let them do that. So I can go to that element and I can limit it to only allow them to put Vancouver jobs. Okay, so we could lock them down from that, just so you know. All right, guys, well, I'm going to let you have your like 2 minutes of break that you have before your next session. I appreciate you all coming. Oh, and before you leave, if you would like to come up and get, I've got notebooks, Fabrik notebooks that we've done with stickers. So put your stickers on, proudly display them. I'll just let y'all pass these on around. If you would like to ask me any questions, find me here. I'll be here the rest of the day, except for when I'm in that exam, sweating. Thank you.